Students, in the next section, let us learn about salinity of the ocean. As we all know, salt is one of the most important part of our food. We all know that the sea is the prime source of the salt for us. Isn't it surprising that one of the important struggles of freedom movement, Dandi March, was carried out for salt? Students, have you ever wondered why the seawater is so salty? Let us learn in detail. Well, the land is the main source for most of the salt in the oceans. Surprising, isn't it?
The rains, rivers and streams over many millions of years washed over the rocks that contained sodium chloride or NaCl or table salt and merged it in the sea. This was how the seas acquired the salty taste. In addition, the sea volcanoes and hydrothermal vents are also responsible for the salinity in the seawater. Also, when the water from the surface of the sea or the ocean evaporates, the salt remains. This has resulted in the prevalence of salty water over millions of years.
Well, what do you think salinity is?
Salinity can be defined as the total of all the dissolved salts in the seawater. In other words, salinity is the amount of salt dissolved in 1000 grams of seawater. The salinity is expressed as parts per 1000 or ppt.
Can you guess what the average salinity of oceans would be?
The average salinity of the oceans is 35 per 1000. In other words, it is about 35 parts of salt in 1000 parts of water. Students, the seawater generally contains huge parts of dissolved mineral matter. The sodium chloride makes the majority of this mineral matter, which is up to around 77.8%. Another interesting fact is that the river water contains around 2% of sodium chloride or common salt.
Well students, now let us have a look at the factors that affect salinity in surface layers of oceans.
The evaporation and precipitation is one of the primary factors that affect the salinity in surface layers of the oceans. The flow of fresh water from rivers in coastal regions and the freezing and thawing of ice in the polar regions also contribute to affecting salinity. In addition, the transfer of water to other areas by the winds are another important factors that affect the salinity in surface layers of oceans besides the ocean currents.
Now, let us have a look at the highest salinity and the lowest salinity in water bodies.
Lake Van in Turkey is a water body with the highest salinity of 330 parts per 1000, followed by Dead Sea in Israel with 238 parts per 1000. The Great Salt Lake in USA has the highest salt density of 220 parts per 1000. When it comes to the lowest salinity, Baltic Sea and Hudson Bay have the lowest salinity of 3 to 15 parts per 1000.
Here is an exercise for you. Find out what are the reasons for the low salinity, especially in Baltic Sea and Hudson Bay. Students, a specific term is used to refer to the line that joins the point in the ocean with the same amount of salinity.
The isohaline is the term that translates as the line that joins points with the same level of salinity in the oceans.
Do you think the patterns of temperatures on the land and the oceans are similar? The variations in temperatures are very few in the ocean when compared to that of the land. There are many factors that influence the variations in the temperatures. The winds, ocean currents, changes in the seasons, latitudes, unequal distribution of land are some of the factors that influence the ocean temperatures. But what is to be kept in mind is that very few variations have a great impact.
The El Nino and La Nino are two variations caused by the changes in the temperatures in the Pacific Ocean. These variations influence the activity of the southwest monsoon in India. The temperatures generally range between 2 degrees centigrade to 29 degrees centigrade in the oceans. The highest temperature in the ocean is seen in inland seas. The Red Sea records the highest temperatures of 38 degrees centigrade.
Well, suppose somebody goes deep into the ocean. Do you think the temperature increases or decreases with the increase in the depth? Yes, the temperature decreases as one reaches the depth.